everyone, and welcome to another recording of the Cloud Talk Show. We're a little bit loose on the bits over here. We're going to see what kind of topic will fall out. We were just talking about chocolatey in packages and how you should always maybe like Larry. You actually guessed that there was an NVM
I
package
did.
for chocolatey.
Okay, it's by convention. That's what guessing means. Guessing
Yes.
just means that it's by convention.
Right.
So by convention, Choco install the package, and yeah, Choco install NVM, and it just worked.
Right. So by convention, and over here, and I'm going to put this right up here to go along. Right. So here's my Choco. I installed
You're not
chocolatey.
sharing. Share for us.
Oh, yes, of course. Sorry. I'm videoing it. I'm going to share for you to be able to see.
Yeah.
I'm going to share my desktop, and you're going to be able to see. Okay. Hey, let's Skype in.
Thank you, sir.
Andrew Connell finally got my Skype is phoning it in joke. Did you notice that?
Yes,
He finally
I did.
got
That's
it.
great.
I've been saying that for months, right? The Skype folks are phoning it in. The Skype
Yep.
folks are phoning it in because it's becoming Teams. That's our joke right now. And so everyone's like, okay, they're phoning it in. Yeah, so they're not working so hard. No, they're phoning it in. There's Skype.
They're
Telephony.
Skype.
And then Andrew Connell's like, oh my God, but they're not really good at that. It's like, I thank you very much. You finally got it. But I didn't have. Unfortunately, I was on a different scrum that was going on right when that was going on, so I didn't have a chance to give him the proper kudos for finally getting it. But here's Choco. See that? There's my chocolatey, and that's the current version of chocolatey. Is that the current version that you have? 10.8?
That is, yes.
All right.
So slide your window over. I see your
yeah. What you
recording window is.
Oh, my recording window is slowing. Here, this guy. That guy?
Well, but yeah, it's not the you're not. That's
it's
fully
not
on.
filling it in. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, check it
you're
out.
not taking the full. Yeah.
How
You're
about
not
that?
recording the full screen. That's
This is
great.
True. There we go. So now I'm on the full screen. I think I know what happened. Last time I was doing a recording, I recorded a smaller screen, and when it did fill screen, it did like right over there. But right now I'm on the middle. Okay. So for you folks out there that saw things on a weird place, that's fine because anyway the centerpiece was off to the side. But this is the piece we want to know. We want to see
We'll cut some
Choco right over here. All right, so chocolatey.org is where you get your stuff. In fact, there's our link, chocolatey.org. Now, and I was trying to do NVM, and here's the thing. Let me tell you the situation. NVM is a package called Node Version Manager, and the concept is on Windows. A fellow by the name of Corey Butler is maintaining it, but on the other side, the Mac and everyone else, they have a larger set of people taking care of it. So it's like they use it, they take it for granted. On the Windows side, we sort of have to go with the guy who was great enough to present it to us.
And so, what is NVM? Just look. And why would we use it?
Node Version Manager. So here it is. The concept is, and you have versions of Node that work with certain things. And this is what we found out in the case of the SharePoint stuff. Like, okay, we want the SharePoint stuff, the old SharePoint framework stuff to work. But it wouldn't work suddenly when we had the latest version of Node. Why? Because one reason or another, something was wrong. So if we managed to set the Node version to the specific version that was around when the particular version of SharePoint was working, it would work, right? But this is not just SharePoint. There's a whole bunch of programs you could have done where you have brought in a package from Angular or jQuery or God knows what that have very specific coding bits that say, hey, I'm going to be looking for this to exist somewhere in Node. And if it's changed, God forbid it's changed, I'm going to throw an error at you. Well, thanks to Node Version Manager, you can run on whatever version of Node you want, and you can install, but literally this is what you got to do. You have to reinstall all your pieces for each version. So say I have Node version 6, and then I have Node version 5. I would have to install, I would change with Node Version Manager, I would change to Node version 5, install something, and then I would change to Node version 6, and then I would install it again. All right, because otherwise, if I install it in 1 and I go to Node version 6, it's going to say, oh, I don't know what you're looking at. I don't have it at all. Sure. It literally maintains the versions for those. Now, in regular Node, if you just have one version installed in your machine and you install something, everybody gets it no matter what. So if you break something, you break it for everybody else because you only had one version running. So now I can maintain the different versions. So that was the whole point. I needed this to work. When I tried to install it in my machine, I was getting this error and that error, and it's like, well, maybe it's not my fault. Maybe it's someone else. All right, fine. Well,
so,
guess what?
You know what? This makes me laugh. Okay, yeah. And I'm just dying. I'm dying here. I'm in. People are looking at me funny in the office because I'm dying. Because, come on, they found out that it's hard. Versioning is hard.
Oh.
Node people eons ago were like, oh man, .NET. Why do you have different .NET versions? And why do you have to have these different versions running simultaneously and what's this side by side running stuff? Why do you
Right.
care?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Why not just make it be interpreted code, and that way it'll just always work?
Yep. Oh.
Ha ha
Or will it?
ha. Or will it? Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So,
So
so this is node. Basically, this is basically the acceptance that you will have side by side. You will have multis.
right.
Of course, this is a manual operation. You can't just run something automatically. All right. So you have to sometimes specify your node version before you may have to run things, because then it'll get mad. It's like, oh, it's not running. Oh, because I don't have that. I'm not running in that node version. So my scripts now, and this is cool because this is scriptable. You could make now node version manager as part of your gulp script or part of your build script to say, okay,
Yeah.
change to this version and then do the build. Change
So
to
let
that
me ask
version and then do the build.
And I've not used Node Version Manager. I've not used it. I'm asking,
Hmm.
can I label a node with a specific label other than the version number so that I can, for example, have one that's just for my web apps that has certain things installed and a different one for
Well, I'm looking at the
a different
usage
set of
over here. We're
apps?
looking at the usage over here. As you can see, there is no
Mm-hmm.
naming necessarily for it, right? So you actually have you actually have to have the actual version. Let's
It
go
has
see
to be
here.
the version of
It
it.
has to be the
Yeah.
version of it that you do. So look, here's the Node version 1.1.5. This is the current version of this. And let's
That's
see,
cool.
what else
Yeah.
does it ask for? Node mirror, node uninstall, node
So
use, version, and everything else. That's just Node Version Manager's version that we're looking at right
yeah.
now. I'm trying to see over here, node list, NVM list. So
Yeah.
let's see what I got. No installations recognized. Okay, well here's the thing. I just put it on, so I haven't done any node version thing at all. So chances are all my stuff is going to break now because now I got to actually select a
Absolutely.
version. I have to now select a version.
So
Right.
NVM install and give it the version number and
Right.
oh
That's
wow.
right. So now
Okay.
I have to install a particular node. So I can see where it says there. You can. Oh, here's the only label you can do way up top here. It says latest. So if I go nvm install latest, it's getting the latest version of
9.5.
Node.js.
There you go.
All right. So now that's going to be in there. But look, it's putting it in temp. So chances are, though, now that that version is on there, I'm going to now have to rerun my gulp, my uh, my framework, my Yeoman, all that stuff. I got to probably reinstall because I think the last Node version I actually put on here was 8 dot something. They
Yeah.
always tell
So
you usually before you install this, uninstall Node completely, JS completely, and then run this. They say.
oh, is that what they say?
Yeah, to be
Oh, I didn't
clean.
know that.
All right. Now, here's the thing. I don't know if Chocolatey did that for me. Maybe it did.
No, probably not.
I'll probably
So
find out.
NVM off though. Oh,
Yeah. So
hey.
let me find out if my Yeoman works,
Yeah.
for example. Here's the way to find out. Oh, look, it works. So it must have done it. It
Okay.
must have done it. And the Chocolatey install took care of it. So now I'm pretty happy here. This actually did it here. So it did the work because otherwise this would fail if it wasn't put on. So all right, bye bye, Yeoman. Yep. Yeah. How about
Interesting.
it? Interesting. Okay,
Nice.
so here's the thing. Why is
So.
this important? Because you're doing web apps, you want to maintain your version control. How do you maintain
Mhm.
versions in the cloud? Ooh. I
Ooh.
think this is your pretty much one way of doing it. Whatever the whole point is, your tools du jour, whatever you're using, you got to just keep up with them, all right? And that's why Node Version Manager is an important piece to this
So
puzzle.
So are you saying that, and I'm questioning because I don't know,
Hmm.
if I do a web app in Azure
Yeah.
as part of my installation script, am I going to install NVM and then install Node on top of that?
So here's something interesting. If I'm doing a container for something, this is a
Yes.
good case of doing a container, right? That's a really
Hmm.
small little piece. Why would you do? You almost like why would you do NVM at all? That assumes that you have more than one thing running, more than one thing that has to build. That's of multiple versions that you need to
Right.
run NVM. Now, technically speaking, the only reason why we have to do this is on a development machine where we're doing a whole bunch of development for a whole bunch of things and for a whole bunch of people. You
Okay.
would not. Why would you do it in a container in a cloud? Technically speaking, you want that streamlined, right? It's like my target
Right.
is exactly this. My target is exactly this version of this, that, boop, boop, boop. Right?
And
So,
only install what you need. And so,
thank you.
and really, your containers should only be running one thing.
Exactly. So the problem with
Okay.
NVM is I could have multiple versions of Node. The reason to have NVM is because you're managing multiple versions. Now, think about a web app or a little web container or a little web component or what are we calling it? The little tiny little worker that you're working out
Microservice.
there, or a little microservice. Exactly. Why would that microservice run on more than one version of anything?
Right.
Right? If like
It
it
wouldn't.
runs in more
Yeah.
than one version of anything, it's not micro anymore. It's a little
Right.
macro. It's a little
Yeah.
bit bigger. It's almost like saying, "Hey, this is where the single cell organisms lay." And so, what's this dual cell organism doing over here? Oh, he's
Hmm.
probably he's probably multiplying. He's creating life. It's like, yes, but you don't create life here. You do it somewhere else. This is
No
just where they
hydras.
go. Exactly.
So what you would do is you would compose you would add all of the individual services, microservices together to build something. You wouldn't put them all in one place though. You would keep
Correct.
them separate and have some fabric or something to connect them
To make them
together.
talk to each other at this point. Now, the concept
Nice.
is they're just talking to each other at that point, right? So you have all your
Hmm.
pieces. So again, you're in the development box. You're doing NVM because you're working on multiple versions because you built something maybe 2 weeks ago versus 6 months ago versus a year ago. So that's where your node version manager comes into play. All right.
Gotcha.
But your item from 6 months ago, if that's all you're maintaining, what does it create in the end? It creates some sort of package, a web pack or something, right?
Hmm.
It creates that little
Right.
package which you then stick in your container. Which, by the way, I'd like to learn how to do that quickly. How do you create your containers fast? And I say I have a web app. In Azure, you used to be able to create a web app, and it's basically just like, oh, where's your code? Put it here, and everything else. And it was not exactly. Let's just say it gave you a way to RDP into it, right? So you can
Right.
actually go in and muck with it. But that was not the point of containers. The point of containers is supposed to be really, really tiny command line-ish type stuff. You're not supposed to like open it up with a full desktop display and see all your services to run. You know,
Yeah, but you can shell into one of those containers
you could shell
and
into
you can
the
do
command line
things.
wise though, right?
Yeah.
But not necessarily open up an RDP like a window that says, "Hey, give me all the pictures so I can see a desktop so I can drag and drop and all that stuff." I don't think that
Right.
was the point of that. The point of that was for the command line geeks to just go in and quickly get stuff done as if they had command like this guy, commander, or one of those
Yeah.
running on or bash usually, right?
Right.
And they're able to do all that stuff. All right, so that's the concept. It's tiny, it's small, and I'll give you an example. See, remember here I'm using NVM on this guy right over here, but I had
Yep.
an Azure VM when I was doing my SharePoint framework stuff. I created a VM in Azure, and I have just one copy of Node in there. Every time I go back to that, it works with everything, the old stuff. All right, that stuff not working on my local machine. Why? Because I had the latest version of Node where it broke. So I just go
Mm.
back to my old VM and I can try everything and everything works just fine over there. Now, would I want to upgrade that node over there to the newer version? Actually, no, not until I'm given the blessing to actually do so. So, when I'm setting up a VM or something as a container, you pick your specific version, get it to work, and you're done. Now, because that stuff is scriptable and you can automate it and all that stuff, say for example you do have an update, so in development I created something, I needed the newer version of Node or whatever, different packages, right? So now I made a new package, right? Isn't there a way that you can script wise update a container package, right? Or make a new container package and say,
I,
okay,
I was going to say, yeah, what you do is, so you would do like a Docker stop.
yes.
You would do a Docker RM to remove it, and then you would build and create your
Help me, Choco
your
install
package.
Docker. Choco
Yeah. Yeah.
install. Here we go. I got to put it on Docker, right?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for reminding me, because there's a new machine. I'm putting it on right now. Yes, I do want to
Yes.
give
Yes.
it. All right.
So,
So
but,
now I
but
can
then
do the now I can do your Docker instructions like I'm
so
supposed to.
then you're going to do like a Docker build,
Yep.
okay, and then you're going to do a Docker run.
There you go.
So, I mean, I npm run. You uh, there are, yes, absolutely, every bit of that is scriptable.
Exactly. So that's the point. All right. So you could use your NVM to and locally and your script to set the
Right.
node version so you could do your build. Once you do your build, you create your package. You use your other commands to script creating your package, your container,
Your container.
and
Right.
then that's it. Your container will have specifically X version of Node, X
That
version
version
of
of Node.
Angulars, X version of whatever, right?
Gotcha.
And you're
Okay.
done, right? And then you have to update it. Okay, run the script. It's got to update these pieces. Okay, then you update those pieces. The
Right.
same as
But
if
you're
you
never
update
going to
local.
install NVM in a container
No,
because
it's
that would be
almost like why would
silly.
you install Visual Studio into a container? Think about
Oh,
it.
come on. Come on. How many times have you installed Visual Studio on a server because that's the only way you can debug something is in
In the
production?
runtime. Well, yeah, that's true, but
Oh
that's not
gosh.
the debugging. Mr. Debug in
Wait.
production.
Wait. Did I say that out loud?
Yes, you
Yes,
did.
I've debugged in production.
Oh
Oh.
man. So, if that's what you're doing, that's essentially what people do that are thinking, so,
Right.
okay, I'm going to take my container and I have to debug inside it. Well, hold on a second. If you have to do that, you have a more fundamental issue
There's yes, there's a different problem that's going
that's
on.
going on that you
Yeah.
have to do that. That means that you've lost control somewhere along the way. All
Hmm.
right, and that's the whole point. If you're following proper DevOps, proper patterns,
Yes.
you're not creating nuts more work for yourself and other things like that. You should be fine. As you look how fast that installed, by the way, that was Docker.
Nice.
How major is Docker? Docker's humongous.
Yeah.
I'm looking at that. Look at that. Shimgen has successfully created a shim for Docker XE. A shim. A shim.
Nice.
Let's
A
see.
ship.
Yep, shim, 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 shim. Okay, and look, there's the log. See the log for detail. So that's
Hmm.
coming in there. So now I put on all that stuff. I think what was the point over here? The point was how Chocolatey saved the day. And all I
Yes.
had to do was guess Chocolatey install, come up whatever freaking name it was when it was called something. And chances are it's there. If not, you can
Yes.
go through the Chocolatey list to see what's all there, but it's a humongous list. Or just guess.
Right.
That's what you did. You said, "Oh,
That's
Chocolatey
right.
install in WM."
Yeah.
Who would have
Log into
who would
the
have thunk it?
Chocolatey site. You can search through the packages, and you can
Yes.
find the different versions. And usually, like for NVM, there was a portable version as well. But
All
whatever.
right.
I mean,
Look at
it's
I'm
great.
looking at this over here. Docker package install complete. The package Docker wants to run Chocolatey installed at PS1. Note, if you don't run this, the installation will fail. Blah blah blah. Do you want to run the script? Yes.
Yes.
And it's just a PowerShell. It's PS1. It's
Yes.
a PS1.
And
Oh,
you put a dash Y at the end of your
my install and that would have
Choco
just done it.
install, and it
Yeah,
would have just done it.
done it automatically. But that was like because I wanted to read it for myself.
Absolutely.
So here's the thing though. A lot of the cloud stuff that we do, Docker or whatever it is, chances are, uh, by now especially, it has a chocolatey install. So
Yes.
keep your chocolatey close at hands and your enemies closer. That's what I have to say about that one. Bring it up. Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
All right. Well, I think
That's a quickie
that's a
topic
pretty
there.
yeah
We're gonna
good
have
topic.
afterwards. That can make me feel like having some more chocolate. After all, life is a box of chocolates. However, in this case, we actually know what we're gonna get. We're gonna get 62-bit, 4-bit Docker, I should say.
Hmm.
So there was an article. Just gonna leave this with you. There's an article out there. I'm gonna let you look for it on Google. They said life is a box of chocolates. You don't know what you're gonna get. Well, it turns out there is a secret code for those chocolate packers to tell you
Hmm.
what is inside the chocolate. It's actually what they put in the chocolate. There'll be like a certain way they swirl a string that'll say if it's going to be a marshmallow or it's going to be a something. Go
Ah.
see what that is, and you can have fun, tricks with your friends, and say, "Hey, I'm going to be like Kreskin, the magician, and shh, oh,
Yes.
this one has cherry in it. How did you
Yes.
know?"
Oh no, thank you. I
I
don't like raspberry.
That's
What?
right.
How do
I,
you know that's raspberry?
that's right.
Ah.
I am the Forrest Gump speaker, shh, and I will tell you what's in this chocolate. All right, but just to saying, like there's always a trick for it. Nobody's going to do things where they don't know what's going on, and that's actually what this is all about, right? Somebody knows. Maybe it's not us right now, but I can look at this and say, okay, now I know how you know. Now I know to trust you that you will know what you know, which means chocolatey, you're my friend. Yep. Okay.
All right.
We'll stop right there, and we'll have another topic.
Call it a day.
We're going to call it a day. Put another topic, and one day I'll have all these recorded. Oh, we're not recorded. Pushed out shortly.
Pushed out.
Okay. All right. Hitting the stop. 3, 2, 1. See you guys. Say bye-bye, Larry.
Bye-bye, Larry.